There's honest criticism, and then there's not so honest criticism. But you would like to imagine that most of the criticism by games media, by YouTubers who cover video games, and especially the ones that have gained your trust over the years, you want to assume that most of that is honest and isn't motivated by some conspiracy, like Steph, for example, insinuates. You want to assume that the Metacritic score is due to a mostly honest collective set of opinions, but it's like you would never know that by looking at how some of these developers conduct themselves. And let's just think about how truly narcissistic you would have to be to insinuate that it's some sort of a conspiracy or just a collection of blind hate that is causing these negative reviews, rather than actually just accept that a lot of people thought you missed the mark with this game and they thought you could do better. That's what most of it was. But they magnified very extreme examples within the community and tried to make that into the norm. And then they introduced a certain kind of language. They're hating, they're attacking, they're detractors. When you know deep down inside, most people are just expressing how they feel about the game. Could they do a better job of it? I'm sure they could. I'm sure I could. I'm sure everyone could. But the point I'm trying to make here is most of this is happening because of the game you made, the technical issues it launched with, and the attitude you've had not just from the start, but the one you continue to have. That's why most of this has happened, and that's why most of this continues to happen. And sure, if you're just looking at somebody accuse somebody else of being an attacker, then there's lots of attackers because there's a lot of accusations. But when you actually look a little bit deeper, a lot of the times you'll see it's just somebody talking shit about the game. They're not really attacking anybody. They spent $60, a lot of them, and they feel like they got ripped off, man. And they're just trying to vent, dude. And what do you think happens when you censor them and label them as being all sorts of different things in an attempt to silence them? It's called escalation. And that's exactly what they have been doing. Another thing I want to tell you. You see a lot of my comments lately. Not a lot of people there pushing back on what I have to say. Do you know why that is? It's not because I'm right. It's because they see that a lot of people do agree with me. Therefore, they feel like they're stepping into a hostile arena. Therefore, they feel like they're going to get mobbed by having an opposite opinion. That's the kind of echo chamber they've created on Reddit. And I'm sorry to say, it's not just them. I've seen this happen before, where they set up this atmosphere where even somebody with something remotely negative to say is going to think twice about it. If they want to stay part of the clan, of course, because nobody wants to feel like they're an outcast, an outsider. Social media is important to a lot of people. Feeling like they're a part of is also important to a lot of people. And so when you ban somebody from one place and then another and then censor them somewhere else, what do you think happens to this person? They might get to the point where they just don't give any more fucks and do something radical to show you. And I know I'm not giving you a whole bunch of context as I sit here ticking off these items on the list, but I guarantee you, if you take time to look at my videos and other people's videos on how they have been conducting themselves, you'll see the evidence. One more thing I wanted to quickly add. If you're a developer and you're going to spend the time tweeting, "Don't shit on people for liking the game," that was a great time to say, "Don't shit on each other, period," over the game. Instead, you make it sound like the toxicity and the hatred is a one-way street, and that only one side, the detractors, the haters, are participating in it. Meanwhile, some of your own inner circle, okay, I know we've gone over this 100 times already, but it's not resonating with some people for some reason. People in their team, not just moderators, I'm talking about men and women who actually helped build this game, men and women who are responsible for managing the community. They actually follow a Twitter account whose sole purpose in life is finding negative criticism, retweeting it as a call to arms, signal boosting it in an attempt to send people their way, in an attempt to silence that criticism using actual attacks. So when you talk about the double standard and hypocrisy, there's a lot of it here. They still haven't explained why on earth anybody in their inner circle would ever have anything to do with somebody like that. But most of you guys already know. They don't think they have to explain anything to anybody. People, you know as well as I do, if the Kingdom Come Deliverance developers ever had a mod that joked around about twice, there would be hell to pay. There would be boycotts, 1,000,001 different hashtags. I've seen people get hemmed up for having stuff dug up about them from like 10, 15 years ago. This was 2 years ago. Okay? And again, I think people should have the chance to change because I was given that opportunity, I made the most of it, and it would suck for me to think that some people wouldn't get that chance. But these aren't my rules, man. It's somebody else's standard, not mine. Just irks me. Everyone else is expected to live by these standards, just not the people that introduce them, just not the people that enforce them. In a few years' time, maybe sooner, when YouTubers like NerdSlayer and gamers make their rise and fall or death of a game series, and they're doing one for Saints Row, I assure you that many of the things we have discussed over the past couple of days are going to be used as examples, actual context as to what and why it happened with this company. And it's not because they made a video game that wasn't very well received. It was their arrogance, narcissism, massive egos, how they treated fans, how they chose to manage the community, and of course, how they chose to handle the criticism.